It is now time for Inside the 10 as I welcome Adam Pengilly, Gus Warland and Andrew Webster. Great to see you all this morning. All right, well, let's get started with some of the hot topics. Of course, there has been a lot of discussion around the Bulldogs in the past week or so. Cameron Ciraldo, is he still the right man for the job after the events of the last week?
I think so. I reckon so. He's got a 5-year deal, right? So you can't sort of give him the flick after one. You've got to give him time. And obviously there's a lot to be done there. And he's gone from a great thing like Penrith and he's gone, much more work than perhaps I expected it. So, you know, if you're signing him for 5, why would you give him the flick after one? So at least another couple, you'd think.
I think he is too. I think people are quick to discount his coaching credentials. And I think maybe the worst thing that happened to Cameron Ciraldo was Andrew Webster's success at the Warriors, because people do a like-for-like comparison. They're both at Penrith as assistant coaches. They've both gone to clubs that have struggled in the last few years. But, you know, the Bulldogs are a club that's heavily scrutinised and he's trying to make change there. I think there's a difference between the issues around the player who has not returned to training for mental health issues. I think that's a separate issue to whether Cameron Ciraldo is getting the best out of the current Bulldog squad. It's year one. I remember Adam O'Brien at the Knights. We all thought he was a dead man walking only a few weeks ago, and look what he's done at Newcastle. He's up there for Coach of the Year. So I just think we're too hasty to pull the trigger on players. On coaches and players in this game, really. Especially
as well when you're coming into a club that you're not in control of. You're not building a roster from the bottom, from the ground up. You're coming into a club that's already established there. There's only so much you can do within that first year or so.
Yeah, there's one thing I will say to that, Danica, is they are signing players and letting them go within 12 months of, say, a 3-year deal. Look at guys like Andrew Davey. Ryan Sutton's been out of favour there. They've sort of basically given him permission to go to another club. So I think that's an area the Bulldogs got to work on. I don't think, you talk about a culture, signing guys for these 2- and 3-year deals and then tapping on the shoulder after 6 months is probably not the right way to go about it, to develop that culture. But I can understand what Cameron's trying to do by lifting the standards of that club.
And in Danny Wilder's column this morning as well, I'm not sure if you've read it, it was actually an interesting point about all the ongoings about the situation that happened at the Bulldogs. And if anyone at home gets a chance, maybe get onto the Sydney Morning Herald website and read it. It was a very interesting read.
It was.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on. The NRL, they're considering a proposal to prevent coaches from talking about referees post-match. Are we a fan of this?
No, not at all. Not at all. Like the whole point of a press conference is to hear what a coach is thinking and get their reaction to certain pertinent matters throughout the course of a game. Now, as long as it's within reason and it's measured and reasonable, they should be able to talk about any decision they like. And if the NRL doesn't like it, well, then fine them. That's fine. Have harsher punishments. But I seriously think coaches should be able to speak about pertinent issues and decisions that are made through the course of a game.
And I'd like to add to that, I'd like to actually have the referees actually up to have a conversation as well. I'd like to add more of it. It'd be more content for everyone to be able to look at and to read. I would love to know what a referee thinks about a particular decision or why he made that call. I would add more to it, not take coaches away.
Now, normally I'd agree with both of you on this occasion, but...
Well, thank you.
But I don't.
Oh.
Because coaches now use post-match press conferences to bag referees to throw off from the criticism on themselves and their players. That's the new tactic. It's not the new tactic, it's an old tactic, but every coach is doing it now. And I think the worst was Anthony Seibold a few weeks ago when he walked in and said, look, I know it's... was it Garrick? Who got...
Yeah, Garrick.
Garrick got injured and he said, look, I know the rules, but that's a penalty every day of the week. No, it's not, because it's not in the rules. Like, he's just giving himself up. And Seibold in that press conference, and expertly so, went on and on and on about all the bad refereeing decisions, took all the focus over the fact that the team's gone backwards on his watch this year. So I'm so sick of referees being used by coaches post-match to throw off the fact that they're...
blanket ban, Webby? Does it need to be a blanket ban? I don't know if it needs to be a blanket ban.
But Pingers, there's an unhealthy obsession in this game with referees, and that filters down all the way to the junior level. Junior numbers, I interviewed Ben Cummins on Friday about him retiring. He directed his 18-year-old son towards AFL umpiring because he didn't want him to be a rugby league referee. And that's an issue for the game that it needs to address.
But isn't it up to...
And it starts at the top with the coaches continually blaming
the
referee for the fact they're losing games.
Coaches have got to be better. When we work on the coaches not being allowed to do that sort of stuff.
But how do you do that?
And that's having a press conference when they actually answer a question rather than, I can't answer that question, mate, because I might end up getting fined 10 grand. I mean, that type of stuff it's just pathetic. We should, as fans, be listening to the coach, giving them an understanding of what happened in the game.
So they're just going to have coaches every loss talking about referees, because that's what they do.
I have to disagree with you. I would hate to see the referees have to speak after a game because
Why?
They're
professional. They're well paid. They should stand up there and they should be able to go, this is why I made that decision.
Yeah, but if you do a job, would you, at the end of your day's work, would you like to be just...
If it was only once a week, yeah.
Yeah, but everyone questioning every decision that you've just made in the last 80 minutes?
Probably not every decision,
Yeah.
but a general gist of, hey, this is the big
yeah.
call. I'd like you to go take us through your thought process with that. Well, the bunker told me this and that. That would be interesting as a fan. I would like to see that.
But there's also so many decisions in the game that gets scrutinised now. And Graham Mannersley likes to think that he does it on a Monday where he gets up and explains all the decisions that the bunkers got wrong.
He apologises, yeah.
Before we go to the break, it's been a big few months in the making. But
a couple of
years in the making. But your book that you've written on Wayne Bennett.
Yes.
It's
comes
about
out
to get released.
September 12. You can pre-order at pammcmillan.com.au. I've just been working on a biography of Wayne for the last couple of years. It's a big, thick mother.
Yeah, it's
isn't
good.
It?
What are some juicy elements from it?
It's a pretty raw and honest book, and Wayne. It's an unauthorised book, but I spoke to Wayne and his family and everyone involved in his career and life from day dot.
Any pictures in there?
No, there's not a pic section because of a licensing thing.
Oh, okay.
But the words are unbelievable. You don't need it.
How many words, Webby?
It's 125,000 words.
Okay.
Wow.
But yeah, it's really, it's been really rewarding. He goes into depth about his two exits from the Broncos, his upbringing, his tough upbringing, the struggles of raising two disabled children, but also it gets into his coaching philosophies and everything it does. So it's not a gossipy book. It's just a nice, raw, honest book of Wayne Bennett. It'd be great for Christmas.
Yeah. Great for Father's Day as well. If anyone hasn't got a Father's Day, all right. I look forward to reading it.
How many are you going to buy?
I'll buy a few. Honestly, listening to Wayne Bennett, some of the stuff the way that he looks at things, he's one of the most interesting people. So no, I'll definitely be. Can we get a discount?
I'm just going to take this one. So
yeah.
that should be right.
There we go. We've got two here. All right, we've got plenty more coming up this morning.